I'm Cynthia James, and this network is about changing lives one woman at a time. Hello, ladies, and welcome to Women Awakening. We are here to remind you that we are in a time of extraordinary awakening for women, that we are changing the world one woman at a time, one community at a time, one nation at a time, because we are all willing to stand in our power and our presence. And I'm Cynthia James. I'm your host, and I'm so excited to introduce you to extraordinary women that inspire me and that I think will give you tools and tips to step into your greatness. My guest today is Denise Joy Hart. She is a multi-passionate designer, veteran speaker, entrepreneur, and educator. She's the creator of FRAHA method, joyful custom on a budget room design every time. We will be talking about that. And in her former role as sales coordinator for Motivating the Masses with Lisa Nichols, which is where I met her, she did in-person, remote, and virtual learning. And she taught and trained hundreds of entrepreneurs to up-level their sales to speak powerfully from any platform. She also supported me when I first launched my in-person conference for women, right? On her show on YouTube, she shares creatively curated room designs that become a destination homeowners truly love. Denise, welcome.
Hey, man, it is so wonderful to be here.
Well, I'm so happy to see you, and I'm so happy to introduce you to my audience because you're quite inspirational to me. I mean, you are truly a multifaceted woman, a Renaissance woman. So I want to just talk about, before we get into the nitty-gritty of everything you're doing, I want to talk about where you came from. It's like, how did you start in life, and what led you to become this person?
Wow, the imprint of our origin, sort of, what you said, where we came from or where I've come from, has definitely impacted the woman I have become today. I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, middle of I like to say Old Town, and people say Oakland. I said no, Omaha. So Midwest girl. I grew up pretty poor, my father wasn't in the home, and I often tell people I grew up and I lived in 13 different homes from the time I was born till I was 17, and we were not in the Army. My mother was just packing us up and making sure that we didn't get put out. She just moved us somewhere else. And so that really did have a big impact on me. I really often say that I also had to learn to go from what I thought of as a sort of a welfare imprint and turn it into a worth and wealth mindset. Because, the circumstances you grow up in can have an effect on your mindset. I didn't have a lot of examples around me. My mother was hardworking, don't get me wrong, but I didn't have a lot of examples. I never thought I'd go to college. I never thought I'd own a home. I never thought I'd run a business. So I had to do the work to shift my mindset. I had to read books. I had to introduce myself to people who had a life paradigm that was different from the paradigm that I had and saw growing up. We had good, wholesome values, but I'll tell you, the impact of moving a lot is exactly why I design spaces and homes to this day. I had to learn to go from one space and, give it a good vibe because I didn't know how long I was going to be there. So I got really, really, really good at that fast.
Wow. We have very similar backgrounds. I was on welfare. We moved a lot. And I just did a TED talk that the past does not define us. And you just exemplified that.
Yes.
That something in you, though, was calling you to create, to expand, to explore what was possible for you.
100%.
Yeah. And so you are a professor at Howard University.
Yes, 21 years. I can't believe it.
Wow. And you are, is it 2%?
2%.
That African American, that you are a professor?
Full professor. That's the highest rank you can achieve, academic rank you can achieve in higher education. Only 2% of women who are a full professor are African American. I said, we call it the 2% club, and we don't want it to stay that way. We want it to grow. But yes, that is a great achievement. And actually, I just achieved that status last year. And it set me to begin to think about my retirement. That I didn't want to wait for retirement. I wanted to plan for retirement, which is what then supported me with birthing this interior design business.
So I want to talk about the interior design business, and then I want to talk about your business acumen, because I think they go hand in hand. So I've been watching you and following you, and I see this room that looks like, okay, really? And then the next picture is like amazing. So talk to me about what fueled you and what ignited you to do that.
Well, honestly, it was my niece. My niece was going to sell her condo, which I had encouraged her to purchase young because, like I had just said earlier, I didn't have that paradigm. So I made sure that I would pour into my nieces and nephews information and knowledge. And the condo wasn't in great shape when she bought it. And she said, can you help me get this place together to sell it? And when I say, and I'm not bragging, but I turned that thing into a show place. And she sold it and made a great, equity and profit. And she said, you really need to do this. Like, this is your calling. I mean, she was so forceful. And I felt like I was the young one, she's telling me. And I said, but in that little inner voice, trust your gut. My gut was saying, she's 100% right. And you've been doing this on the sly and on the side for people. And I call it the secret, the secret. I wasn't really public about it. And that voice said, she's right. And that's your next. And I believe profoundly in a principle that I crafted many years ago called listen, obey, prosper. If you listen to that little voice, whatever you call it, your gut, your intuition, whatever, the Holy Spirit, whatever, you'll never go wrong. And since I was in alignment and in agreement with what she said, I said to myself, you better do this. That was 2 years ago. And I actually was going to launch this last year. A big, long little story. We don't have to go down that. And then I thought, okay, I'll do it not last year, 2019. Then COVID hit. And that gave me even more fuel to say, you don't know, life is short. Or I'll say life is shorter than I would prefer. I don't really know how short life is, but it's shorter than I would prefer because I can't live forever. So it gave me the fuel, Cynthia, to start to put things into place. And it has literally taken off.
Right. Well, I love that, and I've been watching it, and it's exquisite, and the ideas and it's like the tips that you give people to take something simple and make it beautiful is exquisite to me. And one of the things I said is that you were a sales coordinator for Motivating the Masses. Yeah. And so there was a lot of information that you shared and a lot of knowledge that you had around building your business. And so I want to talk a little bit about that part of you and how you are using that now.
It's hardwired. It's hardwired. I've been an entrepreneur for 23 years, different businesses. And once you created the systems and you learned the infrastructure, to me, you're just hardwired that way. Even if I didn't want to technically turn this into a full-fledged business, it's just the way my brain works now. I automatically go into, all right, well, what's the mission? What are the brand values? What are the guiding principles? Like it's automatic, what's going to be the distinguishing factor? What's going to be the unique proposition? Like my brain, it literally just goes in that. So I'm not going to resist it. And so I did do those things. And many people say, in fact, someone said to me on Facebook, you were just talking about this in a post last week and you already have a YouTube channel up with videos and all of this. And it made me pause and think, once you have that infrastructure already built into the way in which you work and think, you do go faster. So I often caution people, don't compare yourself to someone who's more on the veteran side and you're a newbie. When I was a newbie, I wouldn't have had this stuff together this fast because I'm new. Everything when you're new takes 3 times as long to learn and for it to synchronize in your brain. But I was able to capitalize on my years of commitment to educating myself as an entrepreneur, continuing to, learn new things. And obviously training other people helps you even reinforce what you already know. And basically the brand was born, with a methodology inside of it. People say, well, how do you do what you do? And I thought, well, I don't know. But what did we learn when we worked in those programs? There's always a method. And I sat and the Faraha method. Faraha happens to mean joyful in Swahili, which my middle name is Joy. And, I tend to bring joy to everything people tell me. And so it was a perfect fit.
Yeah. Well, it's been exquisite to watch.
Thank you.
It's been powerful to be a student of yours. I want to talk about, though, a lot of people look at people who are successful and who have achieved a lot, and they think they sort of just took a quantum leap and jumped there. What has been the biggest challenge for you as a woman standing in your power and in your truth?
Doubt. um, questioning myself. See, I had to create that principle I shared a little bit earlier: listen, obey, prosper. You know why I had to create it? Because I would doubt myself. And so I made this mantra that I would agree more often than not to listen and trust that inner voice, because the inner voice was the opposite of doubt. The inner voice was the quickening of truth. The inner voice was the knowing, the solid, unequivocal, unarguable knowing. But I would try to talk myself out of that. And so I had enough times, Cynthia, where I didn't do that, where I say I disobeyed, listen, obey, prosper. And I don't want that reaction again. So I've learned to trust. And when that doesn't make sense to other people, that's when I really know I should be saying yes to that. If someone says, why are you over there doing that? Don't you already teach? Don't you already this, that, or whatever? And I say, exactly. And I also do this exquisitely as well.
Yeah, it was really interesting because years ago, I was perplexed because I'm like, do I sing? Do I act? Do I what? And this person said, it doesn't matter. You just create and shine. That's what you're here to do.
Yes, I love it. Exactly. My sister said to me the other day, she said, you exude joy. And I said, I think, I don't know if it was a trick of our parents. My last name is Hart. I often say I have joy in the middle of my heart. Like I have this double whammy, right? Of the symbolism of heart, the joy in the middle. I accept it.
Yes. Well, and you also, you teach young people. And what do you think? A lot of people are concerned about our young people. I mean, I am so excited about the young people on the planet today and their kind of out of the box thinking. Really? Yeah. So what ignites you and excites you most about working with these young people and opening their creativity?
I am so happy you asked me this question, because these young folk are, all of us have been brilliant, but we grew up, I'll speak for myself. I grew up in a time where there were more limits, right? Put on you. These young people are truly barrier breakers in their thinking, in their willingness to own their voice at that age. I sometimes hear my students and think, I don't know that I would have had the boldness to speak my truth. I knew the truth was there, but I thought, oh, I can't say that. And they simply do it. And they're willing to appropriately and respectfully challenge an authority figure who unwittingly, perhaps, is putting those types of barriers on them. And I find that to be remarkable, an awakening of the planet. I find, like you, to be so inspired and sort of wishing I could be here forever just to watch what they're going to do, because it's going to be amazing. They truly are taking ownership. I mean, at middle school level, really. So I'm feeling like we're in good hands if those generations who still want to be in what I call perhaps the old school way of power don't create a clash that may not, that could, create a lot of friction.
Absolutely. So, a lot of the women that watch this podcast are in the question, how do I stand in the fullness of who I am and have a relationship? How do I do that? Because a lot of the women that I've coached and that I've worked with, they give their power away to be in relationship. They pull their voices back to be in relationship. What do you have to say to women about owning who they are?
Do it. Listen, Maya Angelou, I saw an interview with Maya Angelou years ago, and that's one of the statements that I recall from her. Someone asked her a question, and she said it this way: do it. And it resonated with me so in my spirit. And I thought, what a profound and beautiful truth. Do it. Because your first service is to yourself.
Yes.
And you want to honor yourself truly above your partner or anyone else, quite frankly.
Right.
And if that person isn't willing to respect you and to give you the space, you want to rethink how you are connecting with that person.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, I kissed a lot of frogs thinking they were princes and they were going to save me. And I've been with my husband now for 26 years. And when I met him, I was so clear that I was over that old paradigm.
Yeah,
Take it or leave it. This is who I am. And
yeah.
so I'm so glad you said, stand in your power, do it. Right. Exactly.
Whatever it is.
Exactly. Well, before I, ask you the final question that I always ask everyone, I want you to tell people how to find you, how to work with you, how to be in your world.
Sure. Really, what would be delight my soul is for folks to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Thrifty Fly DIY on YouTube. Just Google that, search that, or just do YouTube/Denise Hart, and you'll go there. All of the yumminess. You'll see the Faraha method full on in action, me working with clients, which is truly joyous. That's probably the best way. We can also connect in social media. Follow me on Twitter, Denise Joy Hart, or even Facebook, Denise Joy Hart.
Yeah. And everybody, she's always got something new. She's always got something exciting and always bringing joy. I mean, I always smile when I watch you put your camera on a wall and I'm thinking there's nothing that's going to happen here. And all of a sudden it's like beautiful. So please find Denise Joy Hart. So the last question I ask every guest is, what is the one thing you think women need to know to uplift and support their awakening?
That's a powerful question. What's the one thing women need to know to uplift and their awakening? Number one, and I don't mean to be cliche, but they are worth it. You are worth it. You are worthy of it. It is a birthright. It is you don't need to ask permission for it. You simply need to step into it and take that small pill of courage, even if you have to swallow it every day, to enact, to do the things that you think might cause other people to question you. Yeah, do something that causes them to question you, because that's you honoring you. Absolutely.
Yeah, do something that causes people to question you. Yes, yes. Well,
And you
Denise,
follow that up real quick and say, because I'm doing me.
that's right. That's right. That's right. Well, and you are such a beautiful example of it. There has not been one space where I've watched you that you haven't shown up in excellence and in joy and compassion and power. And so I'm just honored to know you and honored to watch your star rising.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. So ladies, we do one of these every week. I introduce you to extraordinary women. And this is what I want to remind you of. You are magnificent. You are a masterpiece in the making. You are dynamic. You are mighty. You are here by a divine design. You are here because you are essential, because you matter. Please do not forget that. Come back as often as you want. Please subscribe. We're on Spotify, iHeart, Amazon, iTunes. We're a lot of places and YouTube. So please come back and be with us, be with me, and meet women who are just like you, who have dreams and dare to lead. I'm so excited to be with you. Have a blessed week.